All right, part 3 of how I was kidnapped, carjacked, and almost toast. Okay, so where we left off, I now have a third passenger, and they've taken me a couple streets over, stopped the car, and now they are partaking in illegal substances. The kind that you smoke in a pipe that are stimulants. I'm sure you can take a guess on that. I was in and out of shock and fear and terror. Obviously, I think at certain points my brain dissociated and even kind of blacked out. And there was a lot that I didn't remember, especially the first couple of days. The first couple of days that I was recovering, I couldn't speak. I was nonverbal and I had a terrible stutter. There was huge gaps in my memory, and so as I've healed, luckily I've gotten pretty much most of my memory from that night back. But this moment, this was very jarring. This was, I think, knowing that, you know, these already very violent people that are threatening me are now going to be high on a substance that is going to make them even more like jacked up and desperate and eager to get rid of me. That was terrifying. You know, it was setting in, and it was a very, so I'm trying to just stay quiet and stay calm. I think they could see me shaking. Big girl starts to taunt me, and she pulls a broken pipe out of her bag. It was dark, and I don't remember whether she like put anything in it or not. I mean, I guess that was the assumption. So at this point, she sticks it in my mouth. You can kind of see in the picture how my lips were all scabbed up, and that's because she did that. So she forced that onto my mouth and then told me to inhale. And I'm scared to, I think at this moment, like, this is it. You know, she's put something in there, like, there's so many points where it was like, I knew I was face to face with death, and it's just a place in my mind. I hope I never have to go again. But it was, boy, I don't even have words. I don't even have words to describe this, so sorry, but. So I kind of pretend to inhale, trying not to get any of it into my lungs. I cough it. It tastes horrible. To this day, I have no idea what it was. But luckily it didn't screw with my mind or my faculties. So it was just a very demeaning, horrible moment, and also me coming to terms with I have to do whatever these people want, and that's ugly. Like, that's a horrible position to be in. And again, with my personal history of trauma, you know, everybody has a different way of survival mode. They have a different place that their brain goes to based off of my trauma. And I hope, you know, with this series, I'll eventually get to, you know, I've got a lot of stories. Got stories for days about that kind of stuff. And I think it's healing and takes the power away from it when you talk about it. But basically, with my trauma past, I have been conditioned to cooperate in times of life or death. And so that's really where I was operating from, was if I do what they say, and this is what they also kept repeating to me, if I do what they say, I will make it home for dinner. That obviously was never in the cards for me, but it was that hope. I kept hanging on to that thought. I'm going to make it home for dinner. I'm going to make it home for dinner. I'm going to make it home for dinner. Crazy, right? Such a simple thought. But that thought got me through. Okay, so we have the 3 people in the car now, like I said, with the new addition being this younger girl that she picked up. At first, she's not talking a whole lot, and then through their conversation, I come to find out that this is Big Girl's wifey. Obviously, no marriage certificate involved, but for all intents and purposes, that is her girl. And so now we have her dad and her wifey in the back. She tells me to drive. So another important detail of this story, while I'm driving, I am so tense, obviously. And I remember taking a sharper turn, and it wasn't anything crazy, but it was a little sharp. She whacks me upside the head, makes me pull over, and then proceeds to threaten me more and said, if you try any shit, you will be. And so I quickly realized that that wasn't an option. Honestly, like I said, my brain was so much in this cooperative survival mode that I hadn't even really thought about doing that until she said it, believe it or not. I mean, I know that seems like probably an obvious thing, like crash the car, do something to get attention, but I was so, I don't know, like my brain was in a place that, again, I hope I never have to be in. So we're driving, I'm driving extra careful, obviously, and we're headed to the new spot. The dad continues to make remarks, and now I have this added on growing anxiety that I'm going to get essayed. I mean, I had that from the beginning with everything that he was saying, but it was just this, horror, you know, because I'm now having to anticipate not just death, but something really terrible, a terrible way to die. So it was just, man. So on the way to the next destination, music's blasting. She keeps telling her dad to shut the fuck up. And then she grabs my face and whispers in my ear, and she said, listen, at the next stop, when he gets out of the car, you fucking go. She said, again, don't try anything, you know, so I have to do this. Now I'm afraid because apparently this guy's packing, all right? And he has a one-track mind, like he's invested at this point. He's a part of the kidnapping. So what's going to happen when I take off if apparently he has a pew-pew, you know? So I'm just caught, like, I don't like conflict in general, let alone in this scenario. So it was just, I knew I had to do it. This big girl had the authority all the way. Like, she was terrifying. The lack of humanity in this woman, the void in her eyes, the evil, the way that she looked at me, it was personal. And I know victims say that it feels personal. With her, it felt extra personal. And, you know, I can theorize about that, whether it's like she hated what I represent, she thought that I had more than I did because I was driving this car, whatever it may be. But the way that this one looked at me was, I just will never forget it.